Hello and welcome to Funded Futures. My name is Emily Macfarlane and I am your host. Today I'm joined by Tod Pedler, who is the founder and CEO of New Dialogue, which is an open sourced private GPT aimed at businesses. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi Emily, thanks for having me.
When I say open sourced private GPT, it kind of sounds like a little bit of a juxtaposition there. Can you explain how it works?
It's a mouthful, I'll grant you that.
A little bit.
Yeah, so we've built essentially, as you've described, a GPT-like experience for businesses to run AI safely and securely.
Okay.
And that's built on the back of both open source and open weight large language models, which are freely available to everyone. You can go to a place like Hugging Face and download the model you want, and you can deploy that locally, and you can build your own tooling. And in fact, a lot of companies are doing just that. They're experimenting, and there's a large innovation curve happening privately across Australia and the rest of the world, where people are building their own things and they're working out how to do it and how to go about it. So we've essentially commercialised all that effort in the case of building a product that's ready to be used by a company.
Okay. So what about it makes it safer for a company to use versus something like ChatGPT?
Yeah, so the underlying principle of the business is to work with regulated industries. So companies working in verticals like healthcare, financial services, pharmaceuticals, so places where unique and valuable IP is generated, and then certainly in the case of healthcare, you're dealing with patient information, which is obviously highly regulated and very sensitive information. So you can choose to take that information and put it in a public, opaque model. We recommend you don't do that. So
what are the risks of doing that?
Well, I mean, there's a future state of AI that all of us don't fully understand yet because it's so in its infancy. Okay. And when I say that is people like OpenAI and certainly Microsoft are betting big, and they're accumulating large losses to win an AI race. And there's a future state where they'll use the information they've been training the models on in a way that we don't fully understand yet, but that's certainly going to happen.
Should I be scared? Because I'm feeling it.
Well,
when you talk like that, it's terrifying.
Well, I think if you're operating in a regulated environment where you're governed by certain laws and regulations that operate within your industry, you should be second guessing or certainly considering how safe and secure our information is with some of these vendors. Okay. And so we saw an opportunity to build an AI that can be deployed locally. It's private and secure. You share infrastructure with no one. It securely connects to your data and content, and then you have a ChatGPT-like experience in conversing with your data and content. But it doesn't go outside your file. It's completely enclosed. It can be, as a term, air-gapped, so you're not sharing infrastructure with anyone. So we see that actually trend emerging very quickly. And when we talk to enterprises, and when I say an enterprise, I'm talking a company with 500 or more staff in Australia. It's certainly much bigger in the States, but they would be looking at, well, what's our use of shadow AI? So shadow AI is, well, we know our team are using ChatGPT at work, but we don't have any visibility into what they're putting into ChatGPT, and should we be worried? And yes, we should be worried about this. We don't really care about that, but ultimately companies are asking, do we build or do we buy? Building gives you the complete privacy that you ultimately want to achieve. Buying, there are lots of options, and obviously price is a big part of that. But even buying, the questions are from a data sovereignty standpoint. Where is our information being used? Is it happening here in Australian soil? Is it happening in data centres in the US? Well, it's likely the latter.
Really?
So yeah.
Okay, and why should we be so concerned about that?
For all sorts of reasons. Again, we don't understand what the future state of AI looks from an economic and political landscape. I could go on about the US Cloud Act, that if you work with an American cloud provider, and don't need to name them, we know who they are. I mean, under the US Cloud Act, the US government can take all of your data and content, and you'll never know that's happened.
What?
And that has happened. That there's a report out, you can get it publicly, and it shows how many instances that happened last year. It happened a lot.
Wow, that's
so that's
terrifying.
In front of our eyes, and that's cool. For most of us, I agree, like 98% of us, maybe publicly, we don't care, we don't think about it. It's at a high order bit we don't think about. But again, for regulated companies, it's a real eye-opening experience when they understand everything about the landscape and how they fit into that landscape, and how do you plan as a CIO or a CEO, where do we want to be in 2 to 3 years from an AI standpoint?
Okay.
These are fundamental questions that help them give them those answers.
Okay. And is there the ability to integrate your model into businesses that might be using AI to help them, like on a digital platform, for example?
Yeah, so we've gone to the trouble of building our own native integrations with all the usual suspects, like the Microsoft suite, the Google suite, Teams, Slack, Salesforce, HubSpot. So we're all used to using these tools. So our AI will connect to these in a secure way, and it'll infer data locally. So it doesn't get processed in a data center offshore. It all happens here in Australia.
That's so interesting. And what made you come up with this concept? I mean, has this been years in the making, or like AI does move so quickly, did you think we need to act now and act fast to get this to market?
Definitely. I think everyone's operating the same playbook there. For us, I mean, my background, I've been a builder for 20 years and I've had different startups. But my day job is running a company called Centric Minds, and we're in the business of building enterprise content management technology. So we help companies build things like intranets, document management solutions, etc. So from all the lessons learned from that business, it played well into building a sovereign AI platform that has content management at its core. So we're ultimately connecting it with different stores of content and data. So all the roles and responsibilities that come with orchestrating that picture has been incubated in my day company.
Okay. So at the moment, AI is kind of engineered to give people a lot of the answers that they think they want to prove a point. How is your system avoiding that?
Avoiding that?
Excuse me.
How do you mean? That's a really interesting approach. What do you mean by that?
How do you train your GPT
Right.
to ensure it's only delivering factual information, not information that it is making up to prove a point for you?
It's a great question. So ChatGPT is the oracle of everything. You'll go there and literally any, as you know, speaking simple here, but it's like you can give you advice on anything really. So and it's drawing that from its vast access of data worldwide. So New Dialogue works in the inverse of that. It knows nothing.
Okay.
It only knows everything about what you allow it to know, which would be your company content. So everything that a company has on from an operational standpoint, from proposals we write to invoices we send to emails we receive, all of that content is the lens of what New Dialogue knows.
Okay.
So using an open source model, it comes pre-trained with some worldly information. So you can ask it things like, what's the capital of Spain? It'll give you an answer. It's Madrid. It knows general information. So it's what we call it's pre-trained, but then we provide a process using RAG. So everyone who is following AI, they'll know what RAG means, but it will only infer the data we give it access to. It knows nothing else.
Right.
Then the next step is actually fine-tuning a model with your company content. So that's sort of more of an enterprise offering we do provide as well, which is the ultimate experience for a private AI. It's be like asking someone who's been in your business for 30 years and knows everything about how this works. Don't talk to Marie in the morning to what that client will say. They literally know everything. So that's sort of what we're building towards by fine-tuning an open source model that you yourself can contain within your own environment, but it becomes like an oracle about your company.
I love that. So you could ask it questions like, where do you see our pain points to be? How can we overcome them? What kind of system improvements do we need to undertake to actually flow better as a business?
All of that. So the end game for us is to really build a digital assistant that is fine-tuned in your business and knows who you are and what you do, how you operate, how you make money, where you're missing out on opportunity. So all that prognostic capability is what we hope we get to, and not suggesting that we're going to go and build an AGI. It's not what we're saying. We're just saying it's a very intelligent assistant that's been trained in your business. And all the clients we're working with now, we run through a pilot process and then we go to production if they're satisfied with the results of New Dialogue. And some aren't. They want to wait longer. They want to say, we really learnt some valuable lessons. We're going to go and write a business case to get funding next year. So we're all at different levels of sort of execution with clients. But to your point, one client ran a pilot and I won't say anything about who they are because people listening might go, I know who they're talking about. But they're a well-known brand and they said, we want to use this to help us write proposals. And our bid team has this many people in it. We want to see if we can expand our commercial bid opportunity by 30%, but we don't want to necessarily scale our headcount in our bid team. We want to see if New Dialogue can do that.
Okay.
So it does about 80% of the job. You put in an empty RFP, it goes through 10 years of tender responses that you've done, and it goes, well, put all this stuff in and it generates the response. And then the last 20% is the human in the loop part, like you want to cite that it's real and it doesn't say anything arbitrary, not factual. So, but that was great, but that's not where the big aha moment was for them.
Okay.
And this is more about what we're hoping to achieve with New Dialogue down the track. What it identified, and this is quite common across all enterprises, is that people left the business in 2017 and knowledge about what they do in a certain part of their business went out the door with them.
Right.
And for the last 7 years, they've been bidding for work, not knowing as a company they can deliver these parts of the tender. And they've been saying, we don't provide that service. We don't provide that capability. Okay. New Dialogue said, but you do. Here are all the responses from 2015, 16 and 17 where, according to you, these were successful. And they'd lost. So what New Dialogue did is it went back in time and said, actually, you missed out on this business opportunity because the human left the business and the knowledge went out the door.
That is crazy.
Isn't it? So New Dialogue basically said, well, hang on, look over here. Why aren't you responding to this? I haven't seen this in a tender since 2018. What happened? Like it basically verbosely said, there's some missing information. Do you want to dig further? And then, so anyway, long story short, got to the end of the pilot with the CIO and they said, look, you've literally, what New Dialogue identified is that we've probably lost about $20 million in revenue.
What?
Now, they're a big company, so they probably didn't feel it, but that's an example of what we hope New Dialogue can do. Is it's finding the missing things that are right in front of you.
That's so interesting. You know where my mind goes to immediately is it identifying people who are actually doing the work versus the taskmasters. Have you heard of that term before?
Sure. Yep.
And I feel like I've worked with so many people like that who are really loud about everything that they do, and then all of the people who are quietly getting the work done, they're not getting any of the recognition or the praise because they're just silently plodding along.
Sure. Well, we call that busy work, and there's a contentious discussion around will AI ultimately destroy people just doing busy work? And I think, look, there'll be some of that. I think there'll be some displacement in that part. But ultimately, we say we want to free up people to do meaningful work.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of contentment around what do I do at my job? How do I define my worth? Well, I think you'd be more useful if you weren't doing busy work for the sake of it, which is where AI can help.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, so.
I feel like my mouth has been open this whole time because I'm like, I love this kind of stuff. I'm a real sucker for efficiency and processes and just finding any problems and eliminating them. And I feel like this is such an interesting way of doing it.
Yep.
How long does it take for you to run this trial period essentially to identify the problems to ensure that they use your software going forward?
Yeah, so our pilot runs for 60 days and that gives the client the full platform for a 60-day period. We work with them at the beginning. We run a workshop and really listen to what are the things they think AI can help solve in their business, and we get answers all over the place. It's quite interesting. But the one thing we note is helping with cultural change in people using AI tools. So people approach a computer with very much a search mindset. So where is the PowerPoint?
What do you mean?
So people working in a office context have the search discovery mindset of how do I do things? where do I go get this to do that? You know, there's very much this sort of that thinking. So with prompting, you know, if you tried with New Dialogue, you know, where is the PowerPoint? You go, oh, well, Microsoft PowerPoint was created by Microsoft in 1978. It'll give you sort of historical relevance and have a conversation with you. So part of the cultural change is helping people understand how to be more effective at prompting. What is a prompt? How do you have a conversational mindset, not a search, give me this mindset?
Because it's stupid in, stupid out, essentially.
Exactly. So we built some tools that help people onboard the use of New Dialogue, which are simple wizards like, well, what is it you want to create? How do you want to do it? Where do you want to, is there a particular place you want to source the result from, like a SharePoint library or OneDrive or whatever? And that helps them craft. And then the output of that is like a 40, 50 word prompt, and they see or understand, okay, so if I actually open up about more of the detail, that the LLM will appreciate that and give a better, more contextually relevant response, which is what we spend the workshop doing.
Okay.
So once they know how to use the tooling or the product, then they're thinking about, well, what would I really like to try and solve? Right? And so they'll try tasks, and we have this analysis dashboard that shows us everything everyone's trying, and it's fascinating what people try.
What's been the most common thing that people have put in?
Why does John hate me?
Oh my God.
In accounts.
See, this is the therapy.
It is.
thing.
We were talking about this just before it came on air, but it's so we see a lot of that. So it's sort of like trying to work out people's co-workers, like as if the AI knows something intrinsically important about them. It doesn't. It will just go, well, John, you're right, John Mayer works in accounts, right?
Yeah.
That's the answer. So
it won't be like, according to what he writes in his emails, he only emails in the mornings.
That's right.
He tends to be offline in the afternoons from 3 p.m.
So one thing is we don't infer or access people's emails. We currently don't do that.
I kind of wish you did.
No, it's off limits from our current purview at the moment.
Okay. What's the thought process behind that?
We want to connect people with what they know about their business, not connect people with people for the sake of finding out things.
I wonder if you could do an HR version.
Possibly, yeah.
Because
possibly.
I'm such a snoop, I'd want to know all of these things. I want to know, how much active work time is Betty doing over there in accounts? How much active work time? Like, I would just love that information.
There are tools that allow you to do that now. I just think, I just don't think it's helpful in the context of where the narrative is with AI in general at the moment. If it becomes known as a snooping tool, then I think that harbours people being relaxed to use it. We say to give people superpowers in what they're doing.
And this is why I'm not allowed to start an AI business, because that's what I'd be using it for. And I'd come up with silly little reports and be like, well, Todd actually is using our Slack tools for the wrong reasons, for gossiping.
And look, that product offering exists, and yes, that you can go do those things, but it's not what we're offering.
It's probably for the best, really. I think from a cultural perspective, I think it would throw a few spanners in the works.
Sure. Yep.
So essentially right now what New Dialogue is trying to achieve is recognise gaps, give solutions as to how that can be improved, and then go from there.
Yeah, it's really helping companies get a better sense of who they are as a business and where critical things lie and who are the people behind them. So it's a visibility tool. But again, the goal is to provide an effective digital assistant for a business. Okay.
And how are you differentiating yourself from other AI businesses out there in the market? Because there are so many now.
Yep.
And it's hard for people to decipher what is innovative and new and will be able to keep up with AI trends versus what's going to fall behind.
Yeah, we're and we're certainly not alone, but we differentiate ourselves because we're not using any big tech AI in our platform, other than there is a caveat to that. We are using OpenAI's OSS model, which is an open weight model, and it's fantastic. It's very good in comparison to 4.0 or 5. It's in the ballpark of what it can do, but we're not. I think the answer is we're not using any big tech via an API standpoint, and for those who understand, we don't price our solution on a token-based approach. So
Okay.
You've heard of tokens, and if you build an application that uses ChatGPT via the API, you're paying a token price to use that API. Ours is token free because
great.
the model runs locally, really where the only ceiling is the scale of the infrastructure. You might need to run it for 1,000 people, 5,000 people, etc.
Okay.
But there's no token limit or cost associated with using the model, which, I mean, for those who have gone down the path, and there are many public stories, some big companies who have built agents on a certain big tech, and then they've got their token bill, and they're quite substantial, and I think that's the unexpected.
It's giving me PTSD from when I had to buy credit for my mobile.
It's something like that, right? So, and it makes it very hard to CapEx an AI solution if you don't know what the ultimate cost is over 12 months. And that's part of the challenge with agents, is they'll go off and do all these great things, and if they're too successful, it'll cost you a fortune to run them.
That is wild. And I think a lot of people don't know that that's the case.
Not yet, but they're going to. So agents is the next thing. So we currently don't have an agentic offering, but that's coming in literally weeks. It's something we've been working on
exciting.
Most of this year with the team. But that's the big thing you'll hear more about next year, is the agentic nature of how AI is being used. That will be the noun of 2026.
So for your employees who are listening, they will be replaced with agents.
No, and I think, one example is just what's happened recently with Qantas, and, we all seen in the media about what's been exposed on the dark web. And, I mean, if you know the nature of that story and how that happened, I mean, there's a human involved. It wasn't hackers dealing with end terminals, APIs. It was.
So do you think they should have paid the hackers?
No. And look, my opinion doesn't matter in the context of that at all. It's agents talking to each other is a much safer bet, although there's dystopian versions of that as well. But I think in that situation, an agent talking with that agent is a far more secure way.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of the Ashley Madison hack.
Sure.
And they were using AI agents to pose as women because they didn't have enough women on the platform.
Yes.
And it was obviously misleading and morally
very wrong.
Very, very wrong. I mean, but then again, are we talking about morals when we're talking about people on Ashley Madison? That was, one of the great hacks.
Yes.
And they weren't given the opportunity to pay anybody off. I think to this day they still don't know who the hacker was.
I don't know.
How can you ensure that your technology isn't going to be hacked and private data isn't going to be released publicly?
Yes.
Spicy question.
I think we level that equation considerably when we're talking about air-gap dedicated infrastructure that only a few people have access to. We're not sending your data out into a public space where it's managed by a public provider. We eliminate that. So I think we reduce the risk of that considerably. But look, there are still risks in everything. I mean, we're compliant as we need to be. The platform recently achieved SOC 2 compliance, so it's we're working through that process of being as secure as possible. But I think we remove a lot of it because of the way we deploy the technology for a client.
Okay, because I can imagine for most of your clients that would be the utmost importance. That's
Absolutely.
why they're coming to you versus another provider.
It certainly leads a lot of the discussion early on about how safe is this, and how can you ensure our data isn't leaked. And when we explain the deployment model, those who understand are immediately like, wow, I didn't know that was an option. That's fantastic. Like, we're going to do that instead. So a lot of people are drawing more and more into the idea of having localized models deployed versus sharing with everyone else. But it's not for everyone. There's a cost component, obviously, to doing it.
Naturally.
And our market is not the entire world or the general market. It's very companies operating with very specialised information.
Okay. So currently are you working with just Australian companies or have you gone worldwide?
We've just gone worldwide. Can't say too much, but we now have customers outside Australia.
That's really exciting. So
Yeah.
you were just in Singapore for
Yep.
a little trip.
Yes.
What did you guys get up to?
So my business partner in all of this is a guy called Matt Vitale, who I know you've had on the show before. He ran a company called Birchall. Part of the criteria of hiring Matt was that he had to be really good at barbecues. And
He's great at barbecues. I've
that's
had
why
one
he
of
got the
Matt's
gig.
famous barbecues. Absolutely beautiful.
Right, so that was really just the criteria.
And that's
You know,
it.
he kicked it out of the park. So
Easy as this. How about a roast? I'm pretty good at
you have to
that.
ask him.
Just put me on the
But
books.
my guess is he's good at that too.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. So I think it's interesting when you're bringing people into the business.
Yep.
Like, what are you kind of looking for? Obviously, they need to be relatively intelligent to be able to understand a lot of these concepts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've always been an admirer of what Matt did at Birchall, and I think I wanted to align or get the chance to work with an entrepreneur with his skill set. And I think where the company is from an immature standpoint, it was the right time to potentially work with someone like him. Luckily, he said yes. So him and I were in Singapore last week, part of the Victorian government's trade mission to Singapore for big data and AI. So we're
Okay.
part of the Victorian group that went to Tech Week Singapore. And look, we were lucky in that we met some potential future clients. We met some investors. So yeah, we had a great week. It was a good opportunity.
That's
So-
brilliant. And for such a new company,
Mhm.
pardon the pun, I mean, like, given that opportunity
Yep.
to really put yourselves out there in that huge space,
Mm.
do you feel quite privileged?
Yeah, I mean, we're nuts. Clearly crazy. But I think, you know, I've been involved with startups before, and it always comes down to the people. And I feel fortunate for all the people who are involved with the business at this time, and everything, all the contributions they're making. But we've got a long way to go, and success is not guaranteed. It's certainly not easy, and we have some pretty conservative goals over the next 12 to 18 months. So we're just focused on trying to achieve them.
Okay, right. So what has been the biggest mistake that you've made from working in your own businesses that you've learned the most from and applied for your future self?
Oh, wow. Gee, this, I don't know where to start on that question. I think for me, I think the one skill I'm yet to develop is how to work and manage people. So
Oh, okay.
I'm a pretty average manager.
Really?
Yep.
What do you think are your pain points?
There's too many. That's just, I'm not going to list them all, but
It's okay, I'll ask your colleagues. It's all good.
that's right. Look, I just run at 100 miles an hour, and I am getting better at working with people at different speeds, and realising that people at different speeds is how they become so effective and so valuable.
Yeah, right.
And I think after all these years, I'm still learning how to do that with new people. But look, my mantra is always like, try and find the best people to work with. Be grateful if they say yes to work with you, and then stay out of their way. and just come in as, you know, Mr. Bank. Well, we don't want to do that because we don't want to spend that much money, or we can afford to do that, and just be that mediator in that process. But I think some people, when they join it, they expect you to be everything and everyone to them, and I'm not that person.
But sometimes I think that that's the trope of the CEO, is they
Maybe,
think that
yeah.
they should do everything.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yep.
the difficulty is in delegating and recognising
Yep.
what aren't your strengths.
Right, and I think I'm really good at delegating, but I think there's a method and a madness to doing that with people for different reasons, and
Sure.
I think that's what I aim to do better at. But yeah,
As a manager myself,
yep,
my advice would be give as much positive reinforcement
Agree.
as you can.
yes,
Because
totally agree.
I think of myself as a dog in that sense. If I get, you know, a good girl, well done,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did great there,
Yep.
then I'm more likely to want to keep getting that praise.
Yes.
Rather than somebody saying you did a terrible job and I don't like the way you did this.
Yes.
I feel like that's so uninspiring
Yep.
and you just want to do less.
Yep.
And
Well, I think for me it's the former. So
Yeah.
I think it's taking time out to celebrate wins. And I think because when you're running at 100 miles an hour and you're trying to consider everyone and everything, that gets lost in the wash. And that's on me. So.
Oh, well, now we've had this discussion, we'll be totally fine. So you're welcome. I'm glad I could be of help.
Thank you.
So have you guys been raising capital for the business, or have you had to do that in the past?
We're about to kick off a safe round, which will take us through to Christmas. We're already talking to interested parties to help us fill out that round. I've been bootstrapping it from the other company up until really this point, where we're now switching to trying to get it to stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah.
So out of that safe, we'll run it at a certain revenue we're trying to achieve by June 30, and then depending on how next year goes, we'll then look at other rounds of financing. But for now, the focus is on our safe round.
What do you find is the hardest part about raising funds?
I think you bring in strangers with money into a new business. I mean, when you describe that, there's lots of things you have to consider.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from personality traits to egos to expectations about timeline, everything.
Yeah.
So I think I've always said, look, here it is in black and white. It is what it is. It's nothing special, but we think we can make a run
I
of it.
think it sounds really special. I mean, you saw me. My mouth has been open the whole time. I love this.
Yeah. There's a lot to go from really what is an MVP now in production to scaling out an actual business. There's a lot has to go right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think in this day and age, speed is the key ingredient. So investors expect a return much faster. So it's managing those sorts of expectations as well.
Yeah, for sure. So the big question is, what do you think that we can expect from AI in the next 12 to 24 months?
Wow. I think from a work standpoint, you'll start seeing more use of agents across platforms. That'll be something more and more of us just become exposed to.
Sure.
In the work sense. In the private sense, I mean, it depends on what news headline you read per day of the week, because there's so much happening.
Yeah.
I think you'll see more AI-generated content in our headlines, our news, certainly our entertainment. That will be very difficult for us to discern the difference between is it AI generated or is it reality? And I think that poses a lot of pros and cons too. So I think they're the two ones. You'll start seeing agentic use in how you work in a business or how you use tools, and then you'll see the proliferation or the growth of AI in our media.
Yeah, I actually saw a pitch the other day from a founder who founded a company called Vloggy, and basically he was talking about how every video that a creator puts out onto Instagram or YouTube, they no longer own the rights to that video.
Sure.
And this content that is being created by humans is poised to become more and more valuable.
Yeah.
And companies like Vloggy ensure that you still own the rights to the video, and you can ensure that that is human-generated content. It's not artificially generated content. The American government are already starting to use it. How do you see the future of businesses that are encouraging human-created content versus artificially created content?
I think that's inevitable, and really stems from why we're building New Dialogue, that it maintains your sovereign existence. It's not out in the soup, being mixed up with everyone else's soup. You get back a soup version of you and your business. I mean, I think that's why New Dialogue is so important, and there are other technologies doing what we're doing as well. We're not the only ones, but I think that plays. You've described why, the reason why we're building New Dialogue, because there's a future state where you will want the sovereign nature of something. It'll be with the content you make or the business you are or whatever you put in the world, a service or a product. There'll be, well, is it created by who and who owns it, and etc. So there's a big opportunity, and maybe in the one of the big models will do it, and maybe they won't, and that is to pay artists who they actually infer their artwork to actually get paid a royalty every time someone puts in a prompt and it uses their artwork to generate a new manifestation of that. That's a big opportunity.
Yeah.
But it actually shows the provenance of, you know, how this content was generated. It was actually, we leveraged this from Emily, and Emily gets 4 cents for that prompt.
That's really interesting.
So, yep.
So can you think of one thing that you're excited about for the future of AI and one thing that you're scared of?
I think excitement is that, again, and I'm putting my work hat on, freeing us from the mundane need to create busy work. That's really bland, I know, but it's such an important lever for us, and everyone's panicking over, well, how do you grade value then? How do we go from that to being able to justify paying someone 37 hours a week? I think that will work itself out.
Yeah, right.
It's going to happen thick and fast, but I think ultimately AI will free us from being able to, you know, enjoy our lives more, do less work. It's meaningful work and it has value, but we'll have more free time to do things that I think most people will probably want to encourage that as an outcome. From the most dystopian view, the other view, there's a lot. I think without going the Terminator route, we don't need to. I love James Cameron's comment too the other week. So I told you so.
Oh my gosh. This is why I always say please and thank you to my ChatGPT.
Yes, right.
So that when they come, they're like, she was really nice.
Yeah, she was
Let's
really
keep
nice
her.
to us. Yeah.
All she did was use us as a therapist. It's fine. She can stay.
I think the scary part of AI is what we were just talking about, is not knowing the provenance of something and not being able to prove the provenance of something. I think is scary.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I see my mum do it every day. She'll send me things on Instagram. She's like, oh my gosh, can you believe that this polar bear baby got on this boat with these people and they're playing with it? I'm like, Mum, this isn't real.
Yeah, right. And we're only at the start of that, right? So you're saying 12 months to 24 months from now, I think one of the scary parts is the dissemination of fake information. And we talk it tongue-in-cheek now, like, you know, it's fake. You know, a certain president loves to say it's fake. But I think that on our phones, on our TV screens at scale is a concern.
Yeah, 100%. The deep fakes that you're seeing out there are so believable.
Sure.
The voice generation, I still remember the first time I heard my voice saying things that I didn't say.
Right.
And that scared me.
It's confronting, yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm of the voice note generation. I love telling my friends the mundane details of my morning, how I cleaned the kitchen and made a coffee. And if somebody were to take my voice, re-engineer it, say something I didn't say, how do I say, that wasn't me? Like, I'm not Shaggy. I can't be saying it's not me and people are going to believe me.
Right. Totally. And I think that's the worst of what's to come. And you would say, well, big tech are going to be the arbiters of that. Well, are they? Will they?
Yeah.
Well, it remains to be seen.
Yeah, at what point do we shut it down? Have you seen the horror film Megan with the doll?
I know the one you're talking about. I haven't seen it, no, but yeah, it's an AI doll.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And obviously she's connected to the World Wide Web.
Yes.
And she can learn.
Okay.
But she can also, because she's connected, she can hack into things.
Right.
Because she
naturally
can search the web to see how to hack into something.
Right,
and then,
right. Yep.
Yeah, that's a terrifying concept to me.
Yeah. Look, I think, that's very much the AGI front. Like, you need artificial general intelligence to have a sentient being that's physically walking around in a 360-degree space. We're a while away from that, although it's getting better and better. But I think, we're playing that out in our entertainment as a future state that is probably possible.
What was that Robin Williams film where he was a robot and then he became a human? what was that? And it was years ago, and they said that we were going to have robots cleaning our houses in like 2005.
Yes, I think it was Bicentennial Man.
That's it. Yeah, and look at us now. Not using them. Thank God.
Don't have them.
That being said, I'm desperate for a robo-vac.
Sure.
Desperate. I love a vacuum.
Yep.
So I'm very fine with that technology. However, would I want to wake up and see some robot in my kitchen?
Well, look, Elon Musk wants you to envisage that future with the Optimus bot.
He scares
program.
me as well.
So, I mean, that's potentially going to happen.
Okay. How would you feel about it?
Look, I think there are jobs humans shouldn't be doing, like, highly risky environments where we send people, whether there's risk of radiation or they're doing mining or deep sea operations. We should have robots doing that stuff.
That's a great shout.
Now, I've just, if they're watching, there'll be some high-paid consultants who are yelling at me going, don't say that, that's my job. But, I mean, really, there are jobs humans shouldn't be doing, and I think that makes a lot of sense to use that type of format to do that.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm seeing redundancies left, right and Chelsea these days. It's out of control. And people listening would say, you're encouraging AI to come and take our jobs. But you look back at all of the jobs that have been eliminated by technological advances.
Right.
And we still have jobs. We still have new things that we need to do. And I think people need to remember that.
Yeah, and I think that the only difference here is it's happening so fast. I mean, I remember a similar conversation 20 years ago about the internet. The internet's going to take our jobs, and bookstores will close, and people will be made unemployed from working selling books, and there was all that sort of. But the market just augmented itself around that and actually leveraged what the internet could do, which has completely transformed society and our global economy because of the internet. I think AI will do the same thing, but at a much shorter time frame. So naturally, the concern is, well, how do people augment from their current job into new jobs? Well, I think the market's job is to do that and work that out. But look, there are plenty of jobs AI won't replace anytime soon. Anything where people are interacting with people, AI can't do that. AI will be an enabler or a superpower that you may use to help in that context, but there are plenty of jobs where people are interacting with other people, and that's not going to go away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I could talk about this for days, as you know.
Sure.
I'm so animated about it and I love it. I think it's so interesting, but I'll let our listeners get back to their days.
Cool.
And I'll let you get back to your day because you've got a lot of work to do, and I'm very excited to see how it goes, and I can't wait to follow the journey.
Cool.
Thank you so much for coming in and chatting
Thanks, Emily.
with me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thanks.